Welcome to the Autistic Culture Podcast Advocacy Edition. In these episodes, we tackle the issues that matter most to autistic people.
Each week, we share our insights and the experiences of our guests on how to live authentically and thrive as autistics.
I'm Dr. Angela Kingdon, the linguistic autistic.
And I'm Matt Lowry, licensed psychological practitioner. Let's dive into strategies for living your best, most authentically autistic life. Episode 92, Autistify Your Organization Skills. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's life going for you over there?
Hey, it is getting better and better every day, but maybe that is because I have now lived in my new house for about 6 months, and so my executive functioning is going up.
I hear that that's about average for moving, because we just did the moving episode because we both recently moved, and I think that this is a necessary thing that we really need to talk about because, God, you know what I love? Order. You know what I hate?
Chaos.
Because
and
the
what
chaos
is moving? What is moving? It is a chaos machine.
It is nonstop chaos, and my executive functioning has completely dropped. Right, like I just responded to somebody yesterday, and there's like, "Hey, I've got an eval coming up soon, and I haven't taken this test." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I've moved. Sorry, I haven't responded to your email. Here is the test that you need to take ahead of time." It's one of the, and I had to explain, my executive functioning has been completely crushed. And for those who, okay, so let's talk about executive functioning. Let's talk about this, and let's talk about why organization is important, right? So executive functioning is what we call our ability to make plans, to fulfill plans, to do tasks, to take care of ourselves, to do life skills. And autistic people are generally, again, you got a lot of people who think that there's level 3 or 3 levels of autism. That's insane. No, that's not. I mean,
sometimes I have three levels a day.
That's the thing. Because again,
more when I'm moving.
Neurotypicals like to simplify things, but the fact is, Neurodiversity Unbroken said it best, that autism is a dynamic disability, and it is based on all of the stuff that happens, our dysregulation, our neurological perception of things, how much stuff we're going through at any given time. So the more chaos we have to do, the more variables we have to account for, the less executive functioning we're going to have. So if you're in a perfect environment where all of your stuff is in place, you know where everything is, and you don't have to spend any extra brain power trying to find anything, you're going to be on the top of your game. You're going to have a very, very good day, and you're going to be a, quote, high-functioning autistic. But even the most put together of people, when thrown into a state of chaos, we have a very, very, very hard time getting stuff together, because, as you well know, we are bottom-up processors. We look at all the data. Instead of, whereas neurotypicals would look at a map and say, "Oh, that's a forest," we would say, "Oh, there's an oak tree, there's an elm tree, there's a fir tree, that's a forest." Neurotypicals tend to be top-down processors. They tend to have an idea, then look for reasons to support the idea. We tend to be bottom-up processors, where we look at all the data, then form an idea based on that. Mm-hmm. So when we move, we have systems in our old house. We have where our books are. We have where our mugs are. We have where our spoons are. We have all of this stuff. And we have all of these, especially if you've lived in a place for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. But then you have to put everything in boxes, clearly labeled, unlabeled, thrown together. People just throw random stuff in there because it fits, I guess.
And then you can't unpack until you have things to unpack into. So in my last house, I had a certain closets or kitchen things that had a certain amount of space, that my new house had a different amount of space. So I don't understand what kind of drugs they were smoking when they built our kitchen, but our kitchen here is all drawers. There are like no cabinets whatsoever. And so you have to put glasses into drawers, which
What?
when you put a glass into a drawer, can you
It
picture what
clinks.
it's incorrect. So then
Right.
you have to buy a thing, some sort of a glass separator thing that you obviously didn't pack or didn't know existed, because when you were moving, you were thinking, oh, they will have a place for me to put glasses
Right.
because humans have glasses. So I wasn't like, oh, let me check how many spaces there are for glasses. Like I just assumed there would be a space for glasses. No. So then I need all these organizational things to put the
Yes.
glasses away, because otherwise they're just going to all break and fall. You can't put a deep slide, like imagine a drawer for like potato chips
Right.
or pots and pans. You
Yeah.
can't just like throw some glasses in there.
No, because they will be destroyed. You don't want
So
your
then you
stuff to
can't
be
put anything
destroyed.
away. So then you have a kitchen full of glasses, full of
Yes.
boxes, and then all you want is a drink of water, and the process takes an hour, and you may need to murder somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I have around 150 mugs. In my old house, I found these very, very great rectangle command hooks that fit the like the little handles of coffee mugs perfectly. And I was able to arrange my coffee mug by style, by, holiday, by Ghostbusters or Star Wars, whatever they were,
Yes.
I was able to put them on
Alphabetical
there.
order by
Yes, exactly.
genre. Correct.
But this kitchen is mainly cabinets, ironically, far more cabinets than I need. But I don't want to put my mugs in the cabinets. But the cabinets have enough space on top to put something up there. So I had to test out risers. And again, when online, it says the dimensions, but you don't really know how the mugs are going to fit, how the handles are going to fit, how you're going to turn things. So I got like 4 or 5 different types from Amazon to do trials to see, what would work, what wouldn't work. And I found some that work really, really well, but it turns out that the cabinets are not the same on one side of the room as the other. So I had to get some other risers from Walmart, but they were much cheaper. And I'm still trying to unpack all of the mugs so that I don't like put a mug in a place where it wouldn't be. So I have to reorganize the organization, and it's an executive functioning nightmare. And this stuff is like, it's zapping my energy to do stuff that I really need to do. It's taking away my energy for just being able to chill and relax. And it's a remarkable thing. Organization, when you have it, is being in tune with the universe. Uh, I personally, again with the bottom up processing, I picture the entire universe as being like clockwork, right? One variable impacts another variable, impacts another variable. It's the whole butterfly effect thing, right? And when you have your little chunk of universe perfectly organized, you know where everything is. You don't have to spend any extra time, any extra energy looking for a thing, because the thing is in the thing place. The mugs are in the
Mm-hmm.
mug place, the glasses are in the glasses place, the spoons are in the spoon place, the utility knife is in the utility knife place. You can go to any book, you know where the books are. It's a thing. And I really, really, really need that order. Otherwise, I become emotionally dysregulated.
Yeah.
I can't fulfill other stuff. I've had to tell people, I'm sorry, I had to take a pretty much a month off because of this dysregulation, because I'm not functioning at my top speed at the moment. And again, after the move, I was just telling you earlier about how the movers, they just there. I have a room downstairs, and they just decided to pack it floor to ceiling with boxes. No space to get to the boxes, so I have to unload the entire room full of boxes that they loaded up, because they didn't see anything wrong with that. They didn't think that I would ever need to access the bottom box they stuck in the corner somewhere. I don't get it. It's like it makes it so much easier for everything to be out, so you can take everything out so you can put it away, instead of unpacking all the packing. And it's remarkable. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
think
so
that what people underestimate is like the amount of time it takes to get those organizational systems, and you might
yes,
not even realize you have them. One of the things for me that was a COVID shakeup
yeah,
was the amount of things in my career that I
Oh,
had
yes.
organizational systems for. So I had a home office, but I also had an office that I went to. And it seems like everything is on my computer, except there were a whole bunch of things that were very different when I went into an office, just in terms of like separating my work life. Even though I use the same computer, I would do work at work and not do work at home
Yeah.
generally, even though I had a home office. I mean, sometimes I did, but it was much more separated. All my files were at work. And so my mail came into work and then I filed things. And now I would go into the office, but we weren't allowed to stay. So I would grab mail and then it would just like pile up in my house. And then I would find in a room with like piled up things I was supposed to file, but I wasn't near the file cabinet. All of a sudden I couldn't work as effectively.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Because your
all of
entire
my,
system is shaking up.
yeah, that I didn't even know. It wasn't like when COVID happened, I was like, oh, let me develop new organizational systems. I thought, well, I'm going to be going back into my office any day.
Yeah, that's when I went to completely digital stuff, so I wouldn't have to deal with paperwork at all
Mm.
because I'm able to. It's much easier for me to make files on my computer than have physical files, and I'm glad for that because, like, for the past 4 years, I wouldn't have to carry around 4 years of people's paperwork, potentially getting it lost, potentially movers seeing it, potentially all this other stuff. Granted, the first 3 years of my practice, I still have that because I can't destroy anything until next year, but it makes, when you get a system that works, the heavens open up and shine down upon you, and everything all of a sudden makes so much sense. And that's the thing. This is why this episode is important. And when we have people in the comments, I really really want you to share what organizational systems you like, share what organization devices you like, because we really need to know that things exist. Because I'll be sitting here and I'll be thinking something like, is there a way to organize scissors? Does someone have a scissor organizer out there? And of course,
They
look on
do.
Amazon.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do.
And I'll just be like, I need to find this. Is again, like the command hooks. It took me several different tries to get the right command hook, and I finally got it, and therefore I bought hundreds of them. But here we are. With what store I love? I love IKEA.
Mm,
I love
tell me
IKEA so
more.
much because it is a place dedicated to organization.
That is true. Okay.
It is a
I
place
thought it was a place
designed
dedicated to Swedish meatballs, which I also appreciate.
that, well, you can actually eat Swedish meatballs at the restaurant at IKEA.
Oh, I
So
do.
yeah,
I do,
yeah,
my friend. That is
oh
why I
yeah.
go there. And now they have plant balls, which are also delicious.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying.
The food is great. The organization of the food is great. They give you a tray. You can even have a rolling thing to put your tray on to organize your food as you eat. So I mean,
I
everything
love
there
that.
is just the epitome of a or you have like different levels. You have like this sort of home display that shows this is what your fjord would look like. I don't know. It's all Swedish words.
Fjord. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
what would
Gertie,
look
Gertie,
like
Gertie,
in
Gertie.
bork bork bork. So
Bark, bark, bark.
fun fact, it turns out that if you go to the people at IKEA and greet them with a bork bork bork, that is not the traditional Swedish greeting.
No,
Who knew?
they might not even like it.
Yeah, that they may come across as offensive.
I
And
believe the traditional Swedish
whoops.
greeting is "Hey, H-E-J." I learned that at IKEA.
Oh, I had no idea.
Hey.
Well,
Hmm.
I would have learned that if they weren't throwing meatballs at me.
Yeah, yes.
So
There you go. Okay,
yeah.
tell me more why you love IKEA.
So
I struggle with the maze. I feel like
the
other
maze,
than the
yes,
meatball eating, I do get a little stuck, and then
yeah.
I can't pick. I want all the things and then I get nothing. How do I strategize
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So this is the thing. When you go in, they have like this display room, well, the series of display rooms in a maze because it is an enormous building. But thankfully, it doesn't feel like an enormous building because, like, when I go into a place like Sam's Club or Costco, I am immediately overwhelmed. I cannot deal with it because you see 80 million people in this damn gigantic building. You see 80 million products. The ceiling is, I don't know, 70 feet high. It's loud, it's, fluorescent lighting, everything is completely overwhelming. But they divide that up into small room-sized chunks at IKEA, so you can go through the bedrooms room, the bathrooms rooms, and
They do
all of
that.
these.
That's true.
Yeah, each of these little individual places, and you're able to say, this kind of matches my space. This is about the size of a room that I would have. I like the way that this looks. I like the way, and you can integrate these different products together to make a brand new product that fits your needs. And there's so much customization. I was unaware that you can get free hardware, like the little bolts that keep your shelves in place. You can say, yeah, I need 40 of them, and they'll send them to you for free.
Oh, I
I
learned that
love that.
when we moved. I have the Hemnes bed.
Oh, yep.
And when we moved, our movers, who, as you know, are lovely, thoughtful people, lost all of the fucking hardware.
Of
So
course
we
they did.
could not put the bed back together.
Oh, God.
Which, with literally no hardware and no instructions, that to me is garbage. That is
Yeah.
garbage. That is garbage. That's what that is. My husband could figure it out with literally no hardware and no instructions. He was like, oh, I see how to put this together. I just need to get the hardware. He went to IKEA. They gave it to us for free. Like 2
That's
days later,
amazing.
it shows up on your doorstep. They're like, would you like all the hardware for your Hemnes bed? Here it is.
I love that. I love
I
it's so
love that about
considerate.
them. That was so
And
good. How did they
they
know?
they have a limited amount of hardware options because they just make everything from the same stuff.
Oh, that's how they
And
knew.
yeah, and
Mm.
that's they know exactly what you need, how many you need. It's all very uh, again organized. Also, I have the official IKEA toolkit because, as you know, I love tools and I love multi-tools, and I love this kind of stuff. And they have even though I have many tools, I have many hammers, I have many screwdrivers. This IKEA kit comes with literally everything you need to assemble anything IKEA makes. It's a hammer that comes with a little cap that you can put on there, because if you need to, hammer in nails, you have the steel thing. If you need to hammer in dowels or something that is soft, you have a softer head on it. It
Mm.
comes with a pair of pliers. It comes with a wrench, and it comes with a screwdriver with like 8 different bits for all of the different bits that IKEA has for their hardware. So it's a one thing that this tiny little box that comes with a great little organizational. It has this like tray that you can put everything in, and you can lock the lid. It even has a little slot in there for nails or screws or the hardware that you're currently using to build, so it won't roll all over the place. It's great. I
It's
love it
practically
so
a
much.
multi-tool. I see your
It is.
bliss.
I do love it. And that's the thing. It makes it so easy to use because the process complexity is taken away. You don't have to deal with as many variables in putting this thing together. You don't have to deal with as many variables in looking for a bunch of tools. You have one screwdriver with different bits. And again, a limited amount of hardware that has specific sizes for everything, and all the sizes are already there. So I and everything tends to match each other. It's kind of like Lego. And when
That's
you
what
put
you
it all
like. You
together,
like the matchy
oh
match.
God, it's so good. And for the people who are able to view this, before we go to a break, I will show you. This is an old shelf that I still have. Oh, I'm so connected to so many cords here.
Is that a Billy? Is that just like a Billy bookcase? No, not
Yes,
Billy.
these over here are the Billy
Those
bookcases.
are the Billies. I mean, people
And
do amazing things with their
I've
Billies.
got the wide billies over there, and I didn't want to cover up an electrical outlet, so I got 2 smaller billies and put them at the
Mm.
width of a larger billy with a space in the middle for the electrical outlet there. So I can still have full access to my electrical outlets, and everything matches. And I may get another billy just to, because again, I'm trying to use as many of these shelves as I already had, because I don't want to, just replace everything and just have useless empty shelves.
Mm-hmm.
But the another Billy calls to me because I want my manga and little books to match all of the others, and everything just flows together. It doesn't have this visual noise, right? So visual noise is where there's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't match together, and it kind of overloads you with all of this data. But when
Yes.
you have something that is nice and symmetrical and it all fits together very nicely. Those are variables that your brain says, yes, that's where it goes. We don't have to worry about that. You're good. Because we don't habituate, but we do say, oh, that goes into our background. That is something that is there. We are recognizing, but it is not a significant thing because it is a shelf. And we don't habituate to the shelves because we tend not to habituate. But again, it's a lesser data point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we should talk a little about habituation and what that looks like in neurotypical people if they have shelves versus what happens with us.
We definitely should, and we will do that right after this break from our sponsors, which may or may not be us.
It's true.
Have you been thinking about writing a book? Did you know Angela helps autistic people write books and get literary agents? Whether you want to write about your special interest, your autism journey, or your professional area of expertise, you can learn more about her work at angelakingdon.com. That's Angela, KINGDON, like November.com. She helped me write my book. So habituation.
That's what I was asking about. Thank you for remembering.
Because I lose track easily after that short break. So okay, so again, this comes back to the whole thing about how we do we have a lack of autophagy, right? And autophagy is where your brain autophagy means literally eat itself because most people's brains dissolve synapses and dendrites and destroys pathways. We tend not to do that because that is the way. A lot of, and this is why behaviorism works for people who aren't us, which makes it ironic that behaviorism is the number one recommended treatment for autistic people, even though it's not.
But gold standard for who we don't know.
Because behaviorism works fine for people who prune their synapses, but because we don't do that, we can't get used to loud noises. We can't get used to overpowering smells. We just have it more and more and more, and then we get sick and nauseous, and we just kind of freak out, and it's always an emotional overload.
So if I have obviously I'm book obsessed.
Of course.
I have a bookshelf that is, first of all, if the sizes of the books on if there's a shelf of a certain size and there's very tall books and very small books and they're on the same shelf, every single time I walk by that shelf, I have a whole conversation. My little narrator I get angry. There's like highs. It's like a whole sitcom episode every fucking time I walk by the bookcase. Sometimes it's like, I need to organize that. Sometimes I'm like, what should I separate it by genre and size? Do I need more bookcases for odd size books? I have to have this whole fucking song and dance. I cannot just walk by it. I think neurotypical people stop seeing it.
Yeah, they stopped seeing it entirely. There was a trend on some social media platform where somebody decided to turn their books around backwards to just make them all tan. And like, what's the point of having your books if you can't show them off? Or Marie Kondo, if you shouldn't have more than 5 books. What is that? How can you have? That's insane. But I was doing an evaluation yesterday with somebody, and I was telling this person about my new bookcases, and they're like, "What is your organizational method? Is it tall to low? Is it by subject by?" And I was like, "Well, number one, welcome to the Autistic Club. But number two, yes, because this is the thing about this. Because again, even on say I've got 3 Star Wars shelves, right? And a lot of the books are by DK, and they're all uniform, so they all fit together, and I can do those alphabetically because they understand. But others are very tall, others are very short. So I have to have this shelf over here, my manga shelf, for the short books. So the short books are all together with short books, and I've got my short book Star Wars section that have my old paperbacks from the 90s. But over there, I've got to have like the tall books on the end, because if I have a tall book in the middle, it will stab me in the brain. I can't
Yeah,
have a tall book in the middle of the
literally.
shelf.
I
Yes,
understand this. They go on the edges.
yes,
Also,
the
if
tall
you have
books.
any like magazines that are
Oh
going,
yeah,
they also have to go on the edges.
they
You
do,
can't
because you
just
can't
have,
have them in the middle. You
thank
can't
you.
have a magazine book. That's
No,
insane. That's
no, how do
chaos and
you,
madness.
correct. And then you're
That's some Joker
expected to
level shit right
function.
there.
You're
No,
supposed to
why?
provide childcare for a human. You're supposed to
Exactly.
like assist people with their therapeutic need. No, you
No, no,
can't
you
do
can't do
that.
that. No, no, absolutely not. And that's why this has been the bookshelf. I still haven't found my spoons. I and it occurred to
Best
me.
metaphor ever.
Exactly, exactly. I don't know if we talked about this or not
We
on the
did.
podcast, but yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an example of privilege that I'm able to go out and buy new spoons, because I can afford new spoons, and a lot of people cannot buy new spoons when they're exhausted. But I went out and bought some new spoons so I can finally eat soup again, because I love soup. It's a comfort food. Soup is fantastic. Yeah, so Campbell's soup specifically, but me and Andy Warhol, we're right there together, man. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
the thing. I still haven't found that, but I really I have so many boxes of books, and they're so heavy, and they're in the way of everything else. When my son comes over, he's happy that I have a garage. He really wants to park in the garage. He sees that I still have a whole bunch of boxes in the garage. He helps me. He's 9. He wants to lift these heavy books, but he can't. So I lift the books, and he just scoots them into the library
Yeah.
space. And but he really, every time he's here, he says, "Garage is almost cleaned. Well, then we can park in garage." And he
Hmm.
really wants to park in my garage. So he's my body doubler,
Yeah,
to
that's
help
great.
this.
Not just a timekeeper, but now body doubling. Really,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
child's skills are developing. Very
Exactly,
impressive.
because his priority is to park in the garage, and he wants to do it soon. So every time he comes to my house, we work on the garage and work on getting the books out here, and we scoop big boxes of books over. I think I really only have like 3 boxes left, but I've got some shelves coming from IKEA from FedEx today. I have no idea when my free hardware is going to get here, because it doesn't have a tracking number, but I look forward to having all of my books in book spaces. I think I'm going to need at least 1 or 2 more bookshelves. I know that I've got to have. I'm
But
going
see,
to.
this is
Yeah,
another thing about moving. It is very difficult. I would say impossible, but maybe somebody could do it. To know in advance what you are going to need. So there
this is
is
the thing.
going to
This is the thing. Oh
be
my God,
a
man!
period
Yes.
of chaos. Like the thing I didn't figure out about the glasses, it's like you could know how many bookshelves you need at your current home,
Yeah.
but it's very difficult to know, even with all the same stuff, exactly what you're going to need at the new home and to have
God, yes.
purchased that in advance.
Yes.
And so there is going to be a period of chaos, a period of limbo before your new organizational systems are set up.
And we are not a people known for our tolerance for ambiguity. We
No.
do not like the limbo. The limbo drains us, because again, we're constantly calculating the variables and trying to figure stuff out and trying to solve the problem in our brain, but it doesn't reflect our environment. No matter how
Right.
much we think about it, we actually have to get the energy to do it. And that's the autistic inertia, because we get stuck in our brains and say, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do this. But that doesn't translate into actual movement, which is why it turns out that the only clinically shown way to get out of your own head is body doubling. So when my son's
Oh,
here and he forces me to do this,
oh,
it really
interesting.
is actually, he's genuinely helpful. I mean, again, he's 9, he can't lift heavy things, but he gets me motivated, and he says, oh yes, we need to do this. And then as I put books on the shelf, he'll read a Peppa Pig book out loud, and then take a break and say, need to get more boxes. Like,
Yeah.
okay, master, we will get more boxes.
Well,
But
but I do
yeah,
want to talk about that because you guys have a good dynamic there. When I was moving in here, I wanted to be as prepared as possible with the organizational things I would need.
yeah,
And My husband has much more I don't know, ability to live in that chaos. Like if the
Oh,
boxes weren't unpacked for a couple months, like he could do it. It doesn't I feel like my
is he
executive
ADHD?
functioning he no, I don't think so. This just isn't one that it doesn't particularly bother him.
Wow.
It's just not I mean, there are certain things like if he says we're leaving at 9 o'clock, by 9 o'clock he means 8:30, and he would kind of prefer 8, but he doesn't want to be a pain in the ass. But really, if you could be ready at 7:30, so he's not nervous that you're gonna miss 9 o'clock, which is really 8:30. Like there are
Yeah.
some things that he has no tolerance for, and I have a lot of I have time blindness. And so if we say 9 and it's any time between 7:30 and 11:30, it seems like 9ish to me. Like I just can't. But this one, he does not want to body double me. He does not think it's important. Like, and that before we moved in, so we closed on our house in January, and then we shipped our stuff in February. So I had to know in February like what I was packing.
Yeah.
So there was a night in January where I sat in this house completely empty. He went to like dinner with family, and I measured each room,
Yes.
each wall, the space
Yes.
between the wall and the windows, the ceiling height, so that I could plot with little Legos.
Yeah.
I literally drew a scale model and plotted where all the furniture would go. But like one of the things I didn't account for was the height of the staircase. So there were
Yeah.
certain things that wouldn't fit upstairs. That was like my bedroom furniture.
Oh,
So
of
I
course.
knew where all my clothes were going in the bedroom, but then the furniture didn't make it upstairs. Like I planned for everything I possibly could.
As many variables as you can possibly fathom.
And there were still months of limbo.
Yeah.
And the relationship strain. So I love this meme. You may have seen it. It says in every relationship, there's one person who stacks the dishwasher like a Scandinavian architect, and one who stacks it like a raccoon on crystal meth.
Yeah. I've been there.
And there, I
Guess
can
which one I am.
yeah, guess which one I am. I
Yeah.
can only use the kitchen if there is a correct way to stack the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And
I
it
think,
can
yeah.
only be one way.
Yeah. And we had a discussion earlier, several episodes back, about
Mhm.
the proper way to load a dishwasher, because
Mhm.
again, it was like somebody, I traditionally thought that silverware up would get them cleaner, but no, it's actually counterintuitive, because when you reach in to get the silverware, you want to grab it by the handle so you can put it in the door to keep the
I
tops
have made that
clean.
adjust to my
Yeah.
dishwasher plans.
Yeah.
That
That
has
is,
been adjusted
it's the
by
optimal
me.
way.
But my
Yeah.
husband will just willy-nilly. It's very so
There has to be an optimal way to do literally everything, and we
oh
need to find it.
God, why would we not find it? And I think that, and then never mind if you have children. I mean,
Yeah.
luckily your child right now is cooperating, but wait until the teens, not always.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Then you
people
have to
live
have
in
more organization.
households.
Yeah.
Well,
I,
that
I, I
was what I wanted to talk about is
yeah,
like, what do you
I,
do?
I heavily recommend. Okay, so I am incredibly fortunate that in my new house, my washer and dryer are on the main level. So whenever I take a shower, I just take my old clothes and throw them into the washing machine, because literally everything I own is black t-shirt, khaki shorts, cotton shorts, underwear that can be washed with everything, because I really just have one load of clothes. But back when I was, planning on living with somebody, I already had a system in place in my head of we were going to get uh, like 3 or 4 different laundry baskets, all different colored laundry baskets that all have different loads of laundry. So it'd be much easier for her to put her stuff in a different load of laundry. And when it fills up, then we do that specific load of laundry because it needed to be done. And like with my son, my plan is to only eat in the living room and kitchen because, that's the way. But if he ever had stuff in his room, to have like a tray near the door where he could put dirty dishes on, so he wouldn't have to take it, or by the bedside if he was eating on the bed. So everything is on a tray, and you just take the tray like IKEA to the kitchen. Everything is on a tray. You don't have to do the mug walk of shame and carry like 4 or 5 mugs and glasses and everything. Everything is easy to get to. I recommend that when people have piles of laundry in their room,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you have that pile of laundry is where your body wants to put that laundry. So just put a laundry basket in that spot, and
That's
you'll
where it
naturally,
goes.
yeah, that's your brain and your body have already decided that's where the laundry goes. So even if it's in the middle of the room, put a laundry basket there, and it'll make your life so much easier.
I love that. That is almost my overriding philosophy of everything. Like whenever I want something, whenever I like want a charger or socks or whatever, I'm like, okay, how can I build a system that puts that right here?
Exactly, exactly. And with my new house, I've got a master bathroom with a walk-in closet, and I've hung up all my shirts. The black shirts are in one group. The shirts that have images on them are in another group. The dress shirts are in a third group, and all my pants and shorts are in a different group. And everything is wide apart. I've got a basket to throw all my underwear in because I think that folding underwear is a complete waste of time. I don't do it. I've got a basket for my socks because, again, I all of my socks are exactly the same, as is the way. So
Mm-hmm.
I just throw them in the basket because, again, it saves time. If you have colored socks, if you have images of socks, of course you're going to want to match them. But also, I recommend a basket that you can put them in to keep them in a nice place, all that kind of stuff. But it's just finding a system that works for you and your brain in particular. Because again, I don't wear image socks, so that's not a thing that I need. But if you do wear image socks, you absolutely need a system to keep track of them. They like, okay, so like ornament organizers, you might need to have one of those and put a pair of socks in there so that they're all sticking up and you know exactly where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
that way it makes it much easier. Something along those lines. Anything that makes your life easier, that takes away the time necessary to do a task, that's essential to healthy autistic living. We need
Yes.
these shortcuts. We need these healthy lifestyle hacks so that we don't spend as much time trying to find the spoons and more time actually using them.
Yeah.
So it's
And
one
I
of those
do a
things.
lot of cost benefit analysis on
Oh
this
God,
because I
yes,
think it can be hard to buy multiples of things for
yes,
people. And
because it seems like a waste.
because it seems like a waste.
Yeah,
Yeah. Buy multiples. Get your brain into a space where it's like me having, I don't know, like eyeglasses, which
yeah,
like I get my eyeglasses online. They're, $100 a pair or whatever.
yeah.
I have glasses in every single room.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
I
you don't
do.
have to get up and walk and find them.
Right. And it is, I don't know, probably $1,000 worth of eyeglasses. Not that I have 10 rooms, but I have a purse, I have my car, I have at least 3 or 4 rooms. Then I've got some extras. So I probably have $1,000 worth of eyeglasses, but I know the stress that saves me. When I stress out and I can't find something, I lose hours and hours.
Yes.
And that's when so I struggle with time blindness. I miss appointments all the time, things I'm very excited about. And then all of a sudden I'll look at the clock and 2 hours have gone by and I missed something that
Yeah.
I was supposed to be doing. That happens when I lose things, when I can't find things, when I'm dysregulated. The first thing that happens is I miss appointments.
Yeah.
I miss deadlines.
Yeah, yeah, because
So
again, your brain is working hard. When you can't find the thing that you need, your brain goes into survival mode because you were planning on using the thing, and our hyperconnected hyperdense amygdala just freak out, and we can't do anything. We are stuck in this until we find the thing that we need.
totally. Yeah. So I would say like that's a big thing to work on with organization. If you're trying to, I know a lot of people that like to find things on Facebook Marketplace or they want to get deals. And like, who doesn't love a deal? I love a deal for sure. but it's kind of the same thing. If your bookcases don't match
Yeah.
or they don't really fit your stuff, how much energy are you actually going to lose?
Yeah, yeah. Because again, the visual clutter takes up your spoons because your brain is constantly analyzing the differences in the patterns. But if you have this nice steady pattern across the entire wall, your brain says, "Ah, yes, that's where it should be," and then it can focus on the differences.
Mhm.
And it sort of, again, we don't really habituate, but it blends more into the background, and it's still a data point, but it's a soothing data point rather than one that stabs at you. And there is, again, as I look at my Billy bookcases, oh, they are nice. There are some that have to be taller than others to accommodate my taller books. But generally speaking, especially in the middle, everything goes down the middle because that's the one that you have to screw in place. The one shelf that holds everything together. Everything is nice and stable. All of the other shelves are nice and even. It creates this nice, it's very, very pleasing visually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's the word? Satisfying. It's all those.
Satisfying. Oh,
Yes.
it's
It's
incredibly
very
satisfying.
satisfying.
And it's nice to just sit there and look at. And okay, so my son, he has, of course, my son is autistic. Regular listeners know him well. Members of the fan club have met him because he will join us.
Mhm.
He loves clocks, and he collects clocks. Every time we go out, we go to the clock aisle, whatever store we're in. He gets very disappointed if there isn't clocks at whichever store we go to. And at my old house, we had them in the living room. And while the sound of one clock ticking can be soothing, kind of like a heartbeat, the sound of
Mhm.
15 clocks drives me insane.
Yeah,
And
same.
I cannot do that. I go full Edgar Allan Poe on that. And so we have a bedroom over there, and again, we were planning on moving in and having two kids in here, but now we have one kid. So it's Emmett has a bedroom and he has a playroom, and in his playroom we call it clock room because we've hung up all of his clocks on the
Mhm.
walls, and they all tick in there, and I can close the door. And even before the drive, when he came over for the first time, we started hanging up the clocks. He would just go in there. He took a chair in there. He closed the door, and he just sits quietly looking at his clocks and smiling because it's the sensory input that he requires and he loves. And I learned again with organization. He also loves to take them off the wall. So putting standard nails into the wall did not work because he would just yank the clock, the nail would fall off, it would go all over the place. So now I've realized that I need to put 6-inch screws into the wall so that he can't yank them suckers out. He just has to learn to lift and take out, and indeed he has. And I don't have to keep putting more holes in the walls for the screws.
But I want to go back to I know this wasn't your point, but this is a organizational thing for me that I
Oh,
discovered about 10 years ago.
I wasn't aware I was
You
making a point, so let's roll with it.
yes, you referenced his playroom as the clock room.
Oh yes, yes.
Now, one of the things that's really important to me is that every room in the house needs a name
Oh
that
yes.
is functional to what it does.
Because
And
otherwise you say the bedroom. Which bedroom?
which
That's
bedroom?
insane.
Everybody, yes. And it leads to chaos, and people don't know what the names are. So,
Yes.
it part of when I did my floor size model of everything was to review what we would call each room. So, for some people, there's the room where you sit and watch TV could be the TV room, the
Yeah.
living room, the lounge, the den, the family room, the great room. There are so many rooms for the room we sit in every night and watch TV.
The spot in which we groove.
Yeah, where we group. That needs a name. So we have I have a sitting room which does not have a TV. And
Yeah.
this is where we sit and read and where books are. And then I have our living room, which is our living space where we sit and watch TV and eat dinner a lot of times because it's next to the dining room. Like having those names straight is foundational organization, because you
Yes.
will end up fighting about what goes in what room, not even knowing what room you're talking about.
Yes, you have to identify what space you have, what stuff you have to put in the space. Because again, I have a room that was previously, by the previous owners, considered a dining room. I was going to turn that dining room into a library, but I realized that the living room that I'm sitting in has a fireplace. And I would really, really like to sit and read books by my fireplace.
It's
So
very
I
Sherlock.
realized that there is an enormous wall back here that is completely blank. You can't put stuff on it. But if I put my couch in the middle of the room, I could see the TV better, because putting the couch all the way back, the TV's too far away because this living room is bigger than my old living room. So if I put the couch in the middle, it gives ample walking space behind the couch to get to the books. I've got the easy chair that I'm currently sitting in by the fireplace. I can have a little table over here for a drink of coffee or tea and for a book, so I can sit here by the fireplace and read my book in a nice cozy place. And now the
So
room
good.
formerly called a dining room, because again, I'm not carrying food from a kitchen to a dining room. That's like trekking across the house. That's too much effort.
Correct.
I'm not doing that. So the
Agree.
table will be in the kitchen, and the dining room is now the gaming room. So I've got
I love
shelves.
this.
I've got shelves. I'm going to put all the board games on shelves in this room. We are going to have everything from Monopoly to Catan to, the Ghostbusters game, everything, every game will be in this gaming room. And at some point, I'm going to get a gaming table to put in there that has like the removable slats on the top, so that you can do stuff with it. And I may or may not, I haven't decided yet, put my arcade games in there as well, because again, I want to keep with the theming of the game room. But
Yes.
it's an internal debate. Haven't quite come to a conclusion on it yet, because I again, board games are a specific type of game, but again, the arcade games would fit nicely in there. So
Right. They could go together. It's a decision. But what doesn't happen is we don't just randomly throw clocks in there, because that is
no,
not the
no,
clock room.
no. That's the
And
thing. No.
like I have a chest, a sideboard that is the game sideboard, which is where we
Ah,
put our games, and it
yes,
is next to the gaming table.
of course.
That is obviously where it goes. Sometimes my husband will be like, "Oh, do you want me to put this candle or decorative dish in this sideboard?" No. Did you notice every single thing in there are alphabetized games? There's the strategy game section and the puzzles section. You can't just put a candle in there.
No, no, not at all. That invites chaos.
Right.
Everything has a place. Everything has a place where it lives, and it wants to live in that place. And then you know where it is, you know how to find it. It's conveniently located, because again, you're not going to put the games in a different room from the game table. That's insane. Everything
Yeah.
is where it needs to go. And when you get done with it, you can put it back really easily and make everything back to, the center point, to re-zero, to make everything nice and regulated again.
Yeah, yeah. These are so, and then putting things away. This is one of the things I noticed at your house back when you were in organized land.
Oh yeah.
Um, it made it so appealing to play because it was so easy to put things away. Like
Yeah.
there were so many things I wanted to play with at your house, but I knew like, here is the clear container. I can see what's in it, or here is the shelf with whatever, these Funko Pops or whatever. And then I can play with them. I can take them. Oh, the ducks we got to play with.
Oh
I
yes,
can take
yes.
them out and play with them. And then I know exactly where they go. It's not random where they're going back. So it's not hard to put them away.
Yeah,
It's
it's like having a puzzle that's 90% complete, and it's just easy to put those last few pieces
yeah,
back in
just
after you
pop it
play
in.
with it. And then it completes the picture. And that's the thing about organization, because organization, when we think about what art is, right?
Mm.
A lot of people will think, oh yes, paintings or music or whatever. But a good collection is art. Good organized collection is art. A good organized bookshelf is art because it is aesthetically pleasing. It gives you peace. And when you look at it and you feel this certain sense of calmness, as I do when I look at my fully organized bookshelf or my shelves of rubber ducks or my mugs or anything, I get a sense of joy and peace from that, which is far more than the sum of the parts. Because, yes, you can drink out of a coffee mug, they are indeed functional, but the collection of the organization, the presentation, the entirety of the collection of the mugs arranged as they are brings more aesthetically pleasing joy than just a container for a beverage.
Yes. That is what I don't think people see when they look at the investment of it, or they have to negotiate with a roommate or a partner the investment
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, because they say just stack it in the corner. No, number one, I'll forget it exists.
And then I'll
Number
buy
two,
another one.
exactly. And this is the thing because, as you know, I've been preparing for this move for a few years now. I'm reassembling the bookshelf, and I've found that I've accidentally bought like four or five repeats. And I'm like, oh, I can't have them on the bookshelf, but I don't want to, lose. I need to find someone who really wants them. And the way that we can, find someone who really wants them is possibly with an advertisement. And so
Maybe.
if you have somebody out there that you want to have things, this is a convenient way to put that out there in the world, and we'll give an example of that right now. Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast. I practice in Kentucky, and you can get a psychological evaluation or therapy with me if you live in Kentucky, or a consult with me from anywhere in the world because it's a non-clinical service. Just contact me at www.mattlowrylpp.com. MATTLOWRYLPP as in licensed psychological practitioner.com.
And you can find out more about writing your book with me at angelakingdon.com.
This is the way.
We're back.
I don't know if anyone is actually ever going to see them up at intro, outro, but if they do, it's a Easter egg of delights. So
yes,
we'll have to
exactly.
We'll have to bring him to like our holiday party episode or something. Because
okay, so I think we need to move on to one of my emotional issues around organization, which is storage units, storage companies, basements, attics, and in your case, garages. But I know there's going to be a car in that garage. But can we talk about what storage is good for, what it is not good for, and thoughts on storage?
I have ridiculously strong feelings about all of this. Because,
I do too.
Yes. So again, my biggest problem with moving, the biggest reason why I didn't move for many, many years is because I have a lot of stuff. And the idea of somebody walking through my house, touching my stuff, taking my stuff, it freaked me out to the point that I could not function. So I had to sell my house to a flipper that would walk through my house and say, yeah, I'll buy this for much less than the market value. And that way I didn't have to deal with the stress. But you didn't have to
stage it. Yeah, all that. We basically did the same thing. I mean, ours wasn't a flipper, but we did not go through listing and staging and open houses. I don't know how people live like that. That's not for us.
It was suggested to me by the realtor, by a different realtor, by the woman I was with at the time, that I just get a storage unit. And after I recovered from the heart attack, I was like, no, I can't have my stuff in a faraway place. And she was like, well, that's okay. You'll have a key to it. But I have so much trauma from watching like even promos of like Storage Wars or something, where someone's beloved collection, for some reason or another, they weren't able to make payments on the storage unit, and all these vultures are picking it apart, and they don't know the value of anything, and they're taking everything, and it just horrifies me to say, what if I forget a payment because, autism?
Executive
Yeah,
functioning, medical issues. Yeah.
yeah, and all of a sudden the vultures swoop in, and she was like, "Well, that's okay. We can store it in my outside unit." And like, but it's not air conditioned, and it's full of this, and like, and it's full of beekeeping equipment for no discernible reason, and it's just it was an issue of, yeah, you can put your stuff just about anywhere. I was like, no, I assure you, I can't. It's for somebody who has a collection, for someone who has a library, to suggest that you put your library in a storage unit or in an attic or whatever is like saying, that's okay, grandma can sit in the car while we go in and eat. That's just not an option for us. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's something that gives such a visceral, we're so attached to this that it's just horrifying to think of that. So I can't put anything in the attic because it's not climate controlled. I bought this house specifically because it has a very spacious basement that has, I've got a dehumidifier, I've got a sump pump, I've got everything down there to make sure that the climate is perfectly controlled.
Mm.
Everything will maintain as it is. But again, with the storage stuff, for the bigger stuff, if there's, say, again, childhood stuffed animals, I have opaque containers to keep them in nice condition because they're nice and sturdy. I want them to be safe. For stuff that I will access or that I want to
Wait,
access more readily,
opaque, but what is our labeling, or how do we know what's in them? I'm like,
gigantic
opaque,
Sharpie.
this is alarming.
Yeah, gigantic Sharpie. The gigantic Sharpie wedges. So they
Mm-hmm.
make regular Sharpie markers, right? And they make Sharpie markers that are like magic wands. It's a lightsaber with a gigantic wedge
Yeah.
that
This
you.
is,
That's the one. Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. That's it. Yeah,
yeah, but there's
yeah,
one size up that I do
yeah.
have
That's the
somewhere.
one that I
Yeah.
have. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sharpies
The
are
biggest,
important.
the biggest possible one, because on the outside it says stuffed animals, stuffed animals, stuffed animals, on
On
the
each
top, stuffed
side.
animals on each side, so that no
Yeah, it
matter which
does.
way it's on, you can always find it. So if I want to get back to it, I can. And this is the thing that really messed me up about this move, because whereas a lot of the stuff from like years ago is already clearly labeled, anything that I had to pack, because again, when the flipper said, "Oh, that's okay, we got 90 days," and I was like, "Oh, thank God, 90 days." But it was 90 days to close.
Hmm.
Once we closed, it was like, "Oh, you have 10 days to get out," and I'm like, "Holy God, what?" So I spent 10 days frantically shoving everything I could into large Tupperware boxes so I wouldn't lose any accessories, into cardboard boxes, if this. And at the start, the labels were pretty okay. I know where my mugs are. I got little shipping containers. I believe I showed the shipping containers to you.
Yeah, you
I got
did.
mug shipping containers, and the mugs were put in the shipping containers, and the shipping containers were put in a much larger box, so the mugs wouldn't rattle or hit each other and stay perfectly, and they all survived. But as we got closer to the deadline, I actually had to push back the movers by like 3 days because I wasn't ready yet. I didn't have everything in there. So now there's a whole bunch of stuff like my silverware that's just randomly thrown into boxes that I have to find now, and the disorganization crushes my soul. And it's one of those things. But when it's in its final place, stuff that I don't access very often, in large, sturdy, opaque storage containers, clearly labeled. Stuff I access more often is in clear storage boxes, but I've also realized that the clear storage boxes are also relatively fragile because the movers shattered several of them. So,
Mm. Yeah. So I have a couple thoughts that I want to share about storage just for people to think about. So I do think, depending on the size of your living situation, that seasonal items
oh
can be
yes,
reasonably, that is a good use for, obviously, an attic if it's, temperature controlled
Christmas
and it's
tree
not going to room
especially.
every.
Yeah,
Yeah. Christmas tree. And then if you don't have a basement or an attic that works, paying for a storage unit for your Christmas stuff, especially if it's sentimental.
yeah,
So less so your Christmas tree, but more so your ornaments if there's nowhere else to put them.
yeah,
That I can support
yeah.
for the most part. if you are putting things into storage and you are paying $100, $200, $300 a month, and you are not going to see that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, just know you can buy it new,
Yeah.
which is what you will want. So if you're putting a couch into storage, and let's say you paid $1,000 for that couch, and now you're going to spend 3 years paying $100 a month for storage,
Oh boy.
you have now bought that couch 3 or 4 times,
Yeah.
and it's gotten shitty sitting there. Like, maybe it has bugs in it. I don't
Oh
know.
God. Oh God.
Maybe
Oh.
there are
Oh.
like, so, but not only that, it's just sitting unused. So the fibers are breaking down. It was not meant to be stored.
No.
It's cold. It's in the wrong condition. So unless it is something that is super sentimental and you do not have room in your home for it, and you are going to take it out and use it at least once a year, which is why like summer things. So like my sister has a storage unit for, stand-up paddle boards. There's no room in
Interesting.
her garage. They're $1,000 each. They're hers. Like, she doesn't want to rebuy them. So okay, I can see if you have, I don't know, a jet ski or something like that. You have
Yeah.
some sort of summer equipment that you need to store in the non-summer months. But for the most part, if you have a storage unit, that means you don't need any of those things. You haven't been using them.
Yeah.
So that is $100 or $200 or $300 a month that you could put right back in your pocket to go buy some organizational equipment. Just take that stuff and throw it out.
Exactly. And
You don't
that's a
need
big
that.
thing. That's a big thing about all of this because, again, with the urgency of the move, I didn't have time. My plan, because I love plans, was to go through everything, figure out what I wanted, figure out what I didn't want, figure out what I needed, figure out what I didn't need, and then find a good home for stuff like my son's high chair,
Oh,
because we
yeah.
won't be using that. But I don't
Did
want
you
to
end
get,
up moving that?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like in
because
the garage right now.
it's in the garage right now. Yeah. And
Mhm.
that's the thing, because I didn't want to junk it. I want to give it to somebody who could use it, who will value it. Because I know like car seats, they, standards change, and, I need to donate that, so that like they have these like big bins at Target and stuff every once in a while where you can just take them. And my plan was to organize stuff into big piles so that there's stuff to take, stuff to throw out, stuff to donate, stuff to sell. But I didn't
I
have the
did all
time to
that.
do any of that.
I did all that.
So yeah, like my son does not sleep in his Lightning McQueen bed anymore. And I need
Oh.
to find someone who really wants a Lightning McQueen bed, because I paid $500 for that thing, and
Mhm.
I don't want to throw it away. So if somebody wants it, hey, hit me
So
up.
I will tell you what my little secret on that was. I took pictures of everything like that. I put
Hmm.
them into a Google Doc. And then I emailed the Google Doc to a bunch of friends and family instead of putting it up on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah,
And I was like, if you want it, just put a comment and tell me when you're picking it up. Now I had
good
months. I
idea.
mean,
Good idea.
now you
Yeah,
do have months because you're there.
yeah,
But I had from like February until June. And so every single thing I wasn't taking, I'm like, if you want it, just tell me what day you're coming to pick it up
yeah.
and put your little sticker on it. And then everything else that didn't get taken, I ended up finding like a charity to donate it to. But I wanted to
Yeah.
offer it to my friends and family first.
My plan is, for the majority of the stuff, offer it to Trailhouse first,
Oh,
just in
yeah.
case the people
Perfect.
at Trailhouse want any of this. And because I'm if somebody needs a kid bed and they love Lightning McQueen, here it is. Take it. Just get it off my hands.
Yeah.
But it's better than, again, a flipper saying, "Oh yeah, I'll take this and sell it for, $75 or something, just because they want to make a profit."
Right.
I,
Yeah. But I do think like moving is a great time to do a major
oh
reorg.
yeah,
But I think this lesson or this episode for everybody is like, what systems can you optimize right now? If you are in a house and you're not moving, unlike us, it's like, there are ways you can optimize every single room and make your life better. You will get spoons back. You will have
Oh,
fewer
yes.
arguments with partners. You will have the energy to go out with a friend. You will have fewer stomach aches. Like,
Yes.
these are ways that you can make your life better that are not that expensive. They're probably not free, but they're not that expensive. And that investment will pay back so many times. And just start with whatever room you're in right now, or your car. There are ways you can optimize your car, like wherever, pick one place and make it better for you and only you, so
Yeah.
that it will only make sense to you.
Make your brain happy. Take the investment in yourself. Make the investment in yourself. You will live a happier life.
Yeah. And you are worth it. It is worth it. And you're not imagining the effect. If it feels frivolous to get organized, just know, like, your executive functioning will go up in so many other areas. Your parenting will improve, your partnerships will improve, your dating life will improve, all of that. So
Yeah,
make those investments. You deserve it.
absolutely.
So that's it. Oh, well, we want to hear your tips.
Yes.
I shout out to Kat Flora, because Kat has been our friend in the move process, suggesting ideas to us in our little private Facebook group of the three of us. But we want to hear your ideas. So give us your favorite bookshelves. Is it IKEA? Do you have another store you like? What other tips do you want from people, Matt? Your favorite hooks?
I want hooks. I want storage options. I want a way to display literally anything. I don't have a thimble collection, but by God, I appreciate a good thimble collection.
Yeah.
Share it with us. It makes my heart melt to see a really good organizational system. So make me happy. Show your stuff off. Share the devices, the systems that you use, and let's make the world a more organized place.
Indeed.
Have a good one. Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast Advocacy Edition.
Be sure to tune in for our Autistic Culture episodes every Tuesday, where we celebrate autistic contributions to society, culture, and history.
For even more autistic culture, consider becoming a paid member for exclusive perks, like live Q&A calls with us, a virtual writing circle, and our new Self-Defined Living course by Becca Laurie Hector.
Fun fact, Matt, it actually costs us $8 for every minute that people see or hear on the podcast. But our member pricing is just $8 a month.
What a bargain!
What a bargain! Buy 1 minute and get 500 minutes for free. Seriously, if you can afford this, we really appreciate your contribution. It makes all this possible.
And of course, the best way everyone can support what we're doing is to rate, review, share, and subscribe on Substack or your favorite podcast app.
This is the way.